to the Cloud Talk Show. Hey, Larry, how are you doing?
Doing well, man. Doing well. How are
Hey,
you
I heard
doing
you
today?
were in New York the other week.
I was. Heading back there.
Heading back there again? Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So, possible change of venue.
Possible change of venue.
All right, so we're going to have the big cities. I get to be the second city still. I'm still in Chicago. For those just wondering where we are, in case they're trying to social engineer us, good luck.
Well,
All
they're
righty.
not going to get much from me, I'll tell you.
Yeah, that's true.
Squeak
That's
when I
true.
walk, remember?
Even the dollar was really hard to squeeze from you for that AWS, I tell you.
I'm telling you. It
Yeah.
was. Hurt me.
So that was painful. Speaking of painful, guess what? We start off with a little bit of news today. You remember this guy, Msdn?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Msdn going bye-bye.
What?
Oh, yes, it's going bye-bye. Apparently, it's built on a very old CMS platform, which sort of makes sense. If I sort of remember MSDN from the 90s.
Yes.
Right.
Well, and MSDN TechNet, is TechNet going with it, or is it?
That's a good question. So that was my question originally earlier to the Microsoft guys. What about TechNet? And of course, they were dev guys, so they were like, TechNet. So apparently I need to ask the engineer guys. But hey, if MSDN is going, so is TechNet. I swear, I still have the TechNet CDs from the first Tech Ed. I don't know if you remember that in Orlando, long time ago.
No, I wasn't there.
You weren't. I was there, and I remember they gave me like a stack of discs, essentially TechNet, basically, right? So it was like everything that you ever wanted to know, all these docs and stuff. Well, so just in case you're worried about, well, what happens to it? They're replacing it with this, which has been around for a little while. In fact, where a lot of our documentation is coming from these days. Docs@Microsoft.com.
Okay, and it's a more modern.
It is.
I mean, are they? Now, I have seen some of the, especially the information on all the SharePoint PnP stuff.
Yes.
A lot of those pages are wikis.
Oh, yes.
And they ask people to make changes to them.
Indeed, they're more open.
open.
That's something you could not do in MSDN.
Okay.
All right.
So that might be a driver.
That might be a driver, exactly. So MSDN did not have the ability. It's not. You could comment. I think they did add comments and everything like that, but that was like sort of like a separate piece.
Right.
That wasn't built in. Like this is actually more built in. So for example, I'm going down to Azure because we're doing cloud stuff. Look at that free. Hey, look at that, a free Pluralsight video training for Azure. Okay.
Nice.
Getting started guide for IT operators. Oh. Look at that. So this is the docs.com. So let's see, for example, what it looks like over here. So I'm in here in MSDN, and I'm like their subscription, of course. So here's the thing, though. The one thing that will change probably is the way the subscriptions are done. MSDN is probably going to evolve, so we're probably not going to be called MSDN anymore for our, funny prescriptions.
So one thing I will say is that, a little disclaimer, I was a contractor for Microsoft back
really?
in the day for a little bit. And so in one of those TechNet articles, around reporting services, one of those is actually mine. But I didn't do it because it was a big pain. and one of my colleagues who'd been there forever said, "Oh yeah, I'll put that up for you."
Oh my gosh. So, oh boy.
Yeah, that was years ago. And I cannot imagine it getting any easier or better, because as you say, it's old tech, and I'm glad to see them, revamping it. But if you think about it, when you're talking about the first tech ed, that was a long, dating ourselves, that was a long time ago.
Indeed.
And if it was multiple CDs, that's a lot of information. I mean, this is a giant undertaking for, migrating content. And we've been through enough content migrations to know how painful they are. This is going to be similar. I can see this being a problem.
Yes. I'm trying to take a look at what's different over here. While we were talking over here, so I was literally clicking on to see the difference. Here's the MSDN in the old style of like here's your menu on the side and all the docs going in the old school. And here's the newer one. And looks actually, hey, check it out. It looks pretty close.
It looks pretty similar, yeah.
There's something up over here. They're sort of using the same thing, but for all I know, though, is this is just a shell. right now, this docs area right now,
Right.
docs@microsoft.com, that this is a shell. Somewhere underneath is the actual doc stuff, but that's a huge change. And I think also that, well, here's
No,
the thing, they got
no.
the cloud.
I
Oh,
was
go
going to
ahead.
say, look up there at the right.
Oh,
Comments and edit and share. Top right.
I see that. Yes, see that right
So
over here.
it might be it's not a thin shell if it's a shell.
Ooh, look, check it out. I made it dark.
Oh,
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, there it is. This is the MSDN side. Well, hold on a second. No, look, the MSDN took me over to docs. Here's MSDN. See,
okay.
here's where I was. I was in the library over here. So, and
Right.
then I went and I clicked on, I just looked for Azure, for I just
Right.
said Azure, right? And then it gave me this Azure Doc stuff over here. But that's the old stuff. So let me go find out something simpler. Let's try this, the .NET API for the phone. Let's see what that takes us.
Yeah, for both of us that are still using the phone.
And sure enough, here we go. Now this is MSDN,
Okay.
right? So you were right. See that right is missing. And that
Yep.
looks like, this looks more common. So like, for example, let's go the runtime binder for C Sharp, just namespaces. Okay,
Yeah.
so let me look and see if this guy finds it. So I'm going to say, what am I looking for? I'm looking for this. Just curious to see what this guy will try to show me. Let me make this light again so we're not so dark. Oh, the light hurts my eyes. 1 minute. Check it out. Runtime binder. Okay, no results found. Oh, because guess what? It's not here
The
yet.
right. The
Oh,
migration hasn't completed.
true. Unless, of course, I'm here in Azure, which is probably the problem. Docs@microsoft.com. Let's go ahead and put that in here and go ahead and see what it says now. Aha.
Ooh, context sensitive searching? Could it be SharePoint based?
Could it? Oh, a description not available. So here's a parser, except it didn't give me quite exactly that item right there. So let me just go here and
Right.
see the class. But check it out. Aha.
Hmm.
So this is not quite the answer that I was looking for. It's not quite this, the C Sharp runtime binder in this form. But you're right.
Right.
Look at this. Check it out.
Yeah.
View
This is
code. Oh.
this is all SharePoint based.
Hey, look at this. GitHub.
Yeah. It took you
Oh.
it linked you into the GitHub.
Right, and it left me and it, well, actually linked me and took me there too. It didn't just
Yeah.
save me and give me another tab. It actually took me there. So I can share. I can change the language. So I can say, okay, give me good old VB. Let's see what it
Oh,
says.
and
And
it's in place replacement. It's not,
yes,
before they had the tabs all through. So that's nicer.
right. So again, the view code takes you over here to the to GitHub and stuff. Meanwhile, over here, back in the ranch in old MSDN, is this page helpful? Yes or no? No, because why? It's old.
Oh,
I'm gonna wait,
that's
wait, wait for someone to read
heartless,
that one. It's
heartless.
old.
They read that though. They actually do. There are people that read that.
That's true. They're
Oh,
gonna be like, "Hey, who's this Ralph? Keeps posting funny comments on our stuff." It's like, okay, let's go see that C sharp argument class info, for example. Let's go see what that looks like. Blah blah blah. So here we go. So you can
and there's
see,
our old school VB and C sharp
yes,
code.
right there with the
Yeah.
tabs. Right. So there's the VB one. Hello, VB. Oh wow, and that had to take a trip back. Did you see
Yeah.
that? It actually took a trip back just to get that. So that's not so in placey as it is over here. And over here they didn't even bother, right? We're just taking you to GitHub. Heck with you. Oh wait,
Well,
okay.
now if you change your language to VB
Oh, there we go.
and now
And
go
no trip
now
back. There it is. Yep, look at all.
right now view code. If you view code, does it take you to a different?
That's a good question. No,
Is
this
that
looks C
VB or
sharpy
C
to
sharp?
no, this looks C sharpy to me.
Yeah.
I think it just takes you wherever
Oh,
GitHub
it
is.
takes you to the parser. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. It takes you to the source for that in
for
the
that
open
code because
source
it's
.NET.
open sourced. So
Oh,
interesting.
pretty
Wow.
cool.
That's getting there fast. All right. So here's our upshot with this news. So obviously things are going to change the way we're going to be looking for stuff, and then hopefully they're going to move things in a clearer way because it's just so really hard to get. It's really confusing when I'm going back and forth and stuff. But I have a feeling this is using some of these cloud technologies that we're now basically playing with a lot Yeah, we see a hint of SharePoint, we see a hint of Office and everything else, but there's definitely some proprietary stuff still happening over here
Right.
that they're not
But
sharing with the class.
they're setting the bar.
They
No, they're
are.
setting the bar higher though.
They are.
I mean, if you're writing documentation for your open source project,
Mm,
you know competing against the old school MSDN wasn't as hard. There were tools that took you above that.
yes,
This is different.
this is.
Um, I can't wait.
Oh, there's a. Is this page helpful? Yes. Thanks for the feedback. Oh, it doesn't even bother to ask you. Comments or
Yeah,
suggestion? Here's where they want you to come tell us. Oh, look at this. How can we improve?
nice.
Let's say more suggestions. Wow. What are you using? Okay, let's see if someone reads that one. But it doesn't know who I
All
am.
right.
It's anonymous. It's like it's a question from the wild woolly internet. They'll follow
No,
my IP address. Microsoft knows where I live. I'm pretty sure.
yeah, they know who you are.
Speaking of knowing where things live, so we were talking about. Let's go back to our cloud topics again. So we were talking about the different things you can do in the cloud. We talked about storage at one time. I think we talked about compute one time. We had the lambdas and everything else. With storage, the CDN bits and everything else. And then we had like a general. This is the networking side of things. This came upon us the other day. Traffic Manager. This is Azure's little way of dealing with networking. We talked about how storage. Sorry, how networking is an important pillar to the cloud scene. Essentially, here's the
Yes.
things that it's doing. You can just read it off the hand. Just highlighting it. Multiple failovers, app responsiveness, enable migration. Let's see, app traffic equally. No, here's the thing. Before, in the past, we would have to, if we wanted to like do, say, well, availability, we would do load balancing. So we would actually have to
Right.
stand up physically 2 or 3 machines somewhere, all right, for them to work. And of course, if they were all in the same building, that was useless because if something happened, it went poof,
Right.
then you're dead anyway. So that would be like maybe we'd have a backup somewhere. So in Portland, we'd have a set of machines, a data center, and then here in Chicago, we have a set of machines, all right. And then maybe there's a set of machines somewhere in Indiana, just in case because things happen
Right.
somewhere, all right.
And usually they're I mean back in the day they were cold backups and they weren't constantly updated, right? I
Right.
mean, we transitioned. We eventually got to live backups. We eventually got to some load balancing among the different data centers.
Yes.
But that was slow in coming. I mean, initially it was, you know, it was almost, sneaker net. You would take a backup of the machine and ship it
Yes.
to the other site
Right. And
and
to
just
make
have
those things
offsite
work,
storage.
especially on the network, there was a lot of things that you have to do by hand. Just to
Right.
say have 2 machines look like each other. Because remember, Ethernet, you can only have one. There's only supposed to be a one endpoint, right? You can't have
Yes.
the same address going to multiple endpoints. Or can you? That was what load balancing was all about. There was some sort of like appliance or device or something that said, "Okay, give me your endpoint. I will now pass you along to where it's supposed to be." So that device that or like F5 was one of those guys. Remember F5?
Yes.
They would like
Yes.
say, "Okay, I'm now sending you over here today, right this moment. Next time I'm sending you over there." Then you have to do things like, "Oh, well, what if I have like a caching going on somewhere? Uh-oh,
Yes.
the cache is located over here. That means I always have to look over here. Or is there a copy over there? I mean, all these things you have to worry about, and you have to set up and you have to do by yourself.
Yes. And I mean, you could go the kind of the poor man's route or the way that I always did it.
Yep.
Is it's just like round robin DNS, so that
Ah, yes,
you have the domain name resolved to different IP addresses,
yes.
but you don't have any control over load balancing at that point.
Mm.
You're just kind of dealing out requests.
Right. So
And, and
basically, okay, you go to that table, you go to that table, you go to that table. They all look the same. However, they are different tables, and you're still getting
and
served.
and it was hard because when you wanted to do like a deployment, how are you going to do a deployment and have it actually, deploy out? And that's what this really kind of gives us, and this, the ability to have smart network traffic control
Yes.
is crazy. how easy it is. It's crazy how advanced it is from where we started way back in the day.
Oh, you got it.
You know, no
So
one could afford. I mean, I couldn't afford to have two machines and unplug one and plug another one in, and that's what you would have to do back in the real ancient time, right? You would stand up a different machine and install your software there and make sure it worked, and then unplug the old one, plug the new one in. Yay, it all works.
yeah, that's right.
I mean, we're beyond that now, so far beyond it.
Where we are, we are. So like there were like different ways that you could. They try to make things simpler as newer versions of server came out. They tried to, as they say, ease that pain. The PowerShell scripting, when that finally got mature enough, that became make it made it much easier to essentially handle those things in a more automated fashion. But
Right.
it was still a heavy lift, right? And it was an expensive lift. No matter how you put it, it was going to be expensive.
Well, I mean, remember clustering. You could cluster, Windows Server, but you would
Right.
have to have a quorum disk. You had to, have some type of, storage, a SAN attached
Sand.
to it.
Oh
I mean,
yeah, ka-ching.
who could afford that? Who could play with that and actually understand how it was working? You had to work at one of the big companies or you didn't get access to it.
Well, that's true. And so that's where a lot of those companies made their money and everything else. So over here now, all of a sudden, and by the way, we're going to talk deployment at a different time when we're going to talk about Docker, Kubernetes, all those other cool little tools that help us on the DevOps side deploy apps and stuff. But
Right.
for now, this is just a traffic manager. In other words, where's the traffic going to? Let's pretend your app, whatever it is sitting somewhere on the cloud, and it's somehow available wherever it needs to be. This traffic manager is one of those tools that helps you get there. I'm just curious.
Yes.
Hey, let me click on this. Try it for free. What does it do for me? Let's see. Create your Azure account today. Yeah, I already have it.
Oh, it's going to kick you into Azure. It's just a
Oh,
resource. It's an Azure resource.
it's just an Azure resource. Well, why not? Well, so let me go to Azure. Let me go to Azure then and find it.
Yep.
Let me go to portal.azure.com. Portal.azure.com. And let's see if it'll remember where I'm at. Maybe later because it's connecting to me in my current account over here. But over here
Uh,
it doesn't have it. But anyway, I can use this to demo to see where
yeah.
it is. So let's
Yeah.
go and if we go, let's see if it is Traffic Manager. Traffic. Let's see if look Traffic Manager profile. Brocade Virtual Traffic Manager. So these are the Traffic Manager. Let's go to Traffic Manager profile just to see
Right. That's a
what we
built-in
got over
guy.
here and check it out. So we have several over here. Look,
Oh,
hey,
there's
F5.
speaking of F5.
There they are. Look at the F5 is saying, "Hey, I'm going to stick around."
So what they're going to do is, I mean, that is an appliance. That's a cloud
It is.
appliance.
Look, and it's
Notice over to
compute.
the right, it's a compute. Yeah.
It's right. So,
So that will stand up a machine that has their software installed and pre-set up so that you can then use it.
right. So over here, for example, use Traffic Manager 2, and this is. I'm just going to click on Create and see what it does. What does it? What does it do? So we'd have to have a subscription,
Right.
and we can sign up for a new subscription and everything else. So essentially, so let me go and try to reconnect over here in my other portal. So stand by. One moment, please. While on the other screen, I'm going to go to portal.azure.com and I'm going to go in as myself. Oops. Take me to the screen. Guess I'm going to do it in
So
Google because I can. Uh, why not?
Chrome it, Chrome it.
Sign in. Oop. No,
So
forgot my
I don't
password.
have. So I will admit, I don't have Firefox installed anymore. I used to keep it. It and Safari, the Windows version of Safari. I used to keep those um, for testing, and you know, I logged into different places as different users, and it was easier to kind of segment those by different browsers.
Oh, yes.
But I don't do it anymore. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's become a little bit funky with like when I think I'm like in private, I'm not quite in private. Seems to like maintain sessions anyway. So, by the way, I'm following along over here. I'm clicking on link. I'm just going to see how far it takes me. So what it wants is, and of course I can always delete it. I'm
right.
going to call it. I'm going to call it.
Trafficmanager.net. Wow,
Yeah. Oh wow.
very
So
nice.
maybe we're going to call it Cloud Show. Let's see
That
if
sounds
if it'll
appropriate.
allow us to use it. and I'll use my enterprise license. I'm gonna use an existing resource group. In fact, I do believe I have one for the cloud or our MMO. Let me do our dojo work. Sure, why not? And let's pin this to the dashboard so we can find it later to delete it. So I want because oh, okay. So let's see how fast this goes, and then of course we'll speed this.
Nice.
Oh, that's pretty fast. After all, it's just
I,
networking,
I
right?
I don't think we have to speed it up.
I don't think so. Right? So here we go. Let's go
That's
see
pretty
what we
quick.
got. So this is an overview. It's DNS and it's cloudshowtrafficmanager.net.
Hmm.
So there's an activity log and says here's what's going on. What does it want? So started. Shows my subscription. Oh, there's insights. Apparently, you can take a look at insights on it. There's
Cool.
access control, configuration. Let's see what configuration options we have. Aha, so we got DNS time to live. We can do endpoint monitoring, HTTPS, and here are ports and our paths.
Right.
And
But
right,
what's
and
endpoints?
here's
Yeah,
the
that's a
here's the thing. You would add your endpoints. This is your
right.
endpoint. So we would add an endpoint. So we give it a name, the cloud service, and then choose a cloud service to go with. Oops. Hold on a second. Let's go back for a second. Let's give it. Let's make an endpoint. Let's call it Cloud Show. And it is saved to a public IP address.
Oh, interesting.
Look at this. Da da da. So,
And there you go.
and there's my choose my public IP address, and these are my other ones that are out there right now. But I don't think these are allowed. So let me try the cloud service. No results on the cloud service. Let's see what we have. App services. Any? No, I don't think I've set up any of these.
Yeah, we don't have any of those running, but
Right.
that's going to be running. That's going to pull out from your. That's going to pull from your others. And the reason those aren't showing is,
Oh, DNS name. I have
yeah,
to configure DNS for these. Then if I do, then they'll work. That's right.
then
These
they'll
are
work.
these are private, right? These are the ones that are
Yeah,
private because they're my RDP sessions is what they are. I can do add as
cool.
disabled. All right. So just for the sake of it. Oh, of course it needs to have something before it goes. But I think I believe that's the concept, right? So you set up
Yes.
your traffic and then you're oh, okay. So let me get back. Let's look at other properties. Discard my edits. Yes, for now. Other things we have, the resource ID, the subscription name, that's no problem.
Hmm.
Locks, okay, you can lock the resource. Automation script, of course, check it out. Hey, your favorite scripts,
Very nice.
ready to go.
C sharp,
Uh-huh.
PowerShell, Ruby. Oh,
Ruby, that's right. All the
be
different
still
ways
my
of
heart.
getting at it. So let's see if this says anything or what's going on over here. Oh yeah, so it's saying oh my little subscription, my deployment of the resource group was fine. That's what just happened. All right.
Nice.
All right. So, anyways, there's the concept over here, right? So, ideas I can set up a public endpoint. I didn't see as you saw. I was thinking of actually going to our cloud show to where it was and actually pointing at it because that is in a sense a public IP. But it's public IPs that you're in control of. You can't just like
Right.
traffic manage somebody else's IP,
Which is a good thing.
which is a
Which
good
is a
thing,
good
right?
thing. It's a good thing.
That would have been funny. It's like, oh my gosh, I can just put in whatever. So no,
Yeah.
it pretty much you given your own. So it
Okay.
at least they're doing their best to be a good citizen on the net there and not give
Yes.
you tools to do crazy stuff. So anyway, that's all I have for this over here. Maybe I'll do like a separate little video on actually setting it up and using it on something. As soon as I figure out a good use case for it, then maybe I'll do that.
Cool.
So would
Well,
you?
and just if you don't mind, I'm going to present desktop for a second.
Oh, okay. So let me stop
Uh,
presenting here.
yeah. Let me um let me get a little screen time,
Okay.
just a little bit, because of course, Google has their own. I spent the dollar, right? I might as well show it off.
All right. Stand
Um,
by. Stand by. Let me get you on the screen here.
yeah.
Hold on a second. And so otherwise we're going to see big heads again. So let me get out over here. Ah, here you go. There we go. And sure enough, there you are. I got you.
All right. So yeah, I spent the dollar, so let me go ahead and show
Ah,
show
yes.
what Azure has. They have the
You
elastic
are a
load
big
balancing.
spender, my friend. Go
I
for
am.
it.
I am. They've got the elastic load balancing, which basically does the same type of thing. That's on the Um, Amazon Route 53 scalable domain name system, scalable
Interesting.
DNS. So that's an interesting concept there as well.
Interesting.
Um, and I want to dig into that differently. But this elastic load balancing is the equivalent of what we were looking at earlier.
That's right.
And then Google has their Google Cloud load balancing, which
Aha.
is the same concept.
Right.
So it's just it scale up or down your resources with intelligent auto scaling.
Hmm.
Man, they buzzword me to death. But the idea again is traffic comes in, we spread it out for you,
Right. And
and we
but
watch.
that activity, that compute, and that, let's just say the the uh, the undercarriage of putting that stuff together is being run by somebody else. Somebody else is actually doing that work for you, in a sense that
Yes.
because they have so many machines, and they have, essentially, if you think about it, they have data centers all over the world. They could essentially use this to scale out. You could have multiple data centers, or rather multiple, like, say, services running in geolocated anywhere in the world. All right, and
Yes.
this will do that part for you. Imagine, though, if you had to try to figure that out and pay for that yourself, right? I feel like
No.
being in South Africa today. Say, hey, guess what? Somebody else has already beat you to it, so you can be in South Africa just by simply saying, I want to be in South Africa. I'm there.
Well, and if someone is connecting to you from South Africa, you want them to hit not the East U.S. data center,
Correct.
right? You want them to hit the South African
Or,
data
or,
center
or
or
yeah,
whichever
or
has the
even
best pipe.
the Mediterranean one, even the one that's in Italy, or even in North Africa. They're better off hitting one as close to them as possible,
Right.
for anything else. And this is what I'm beginning to realize. It's like, if you set it up somewhere, setting it up somewhere else again is just simply okay. We just need a physical presence. Somebody will do it. Somebody's paying the money to set the physical presence. That was the what the internet was about. And it's like a story I tell folks. Is like, I used to work for Reuters back in the day. Reuters is now Thomson Reuters, and there's a reason why they're Thomson Reuters and not still just Reuters. And back in the day, they used to feel that they had the network, right? It's like nobody will use that newfangled internet thing because it's not, quote unquote, secure.
Right.
Right, and Reuters had put major investment, and they were spending basically millions and millions of dollars to set up their network to run all over the world. So they had bankers in Singapore, bankers in London, bankers in New York, bankers in the Middle East, everywhere. They were able to, like, essentially talk to each other over their private network
Right.
and deal with everything all fine and well. But then they were overtaken quickly because everybody else started getting the game. The telcos at the time and everyone else were laying down fiber and everything else, and they were just going gangbusters. And I remember the day we went over, and one of the salespeople on our side said, "Hey, why can't we have this load balancing stuff go working properly so that it's when a system gets hard hit, it can go somewhere else? Why can't we do this messaging? Why can't we do video? Why can't we do all this fun stuff?" He was asking all
Right.
the right questions. So we go to the developers. The developer says, "Okay," and this was like in the early '90s, very early. Actually, no, it was late '80s, I think, when they said, "Look, it'll if we're going to do this, it'll cost us," and I swear this was the price that they quoted, 40 million dollars, and we can do this. However, that's a big
Yes.
investment because they just spent that same money just to set up what was called Globex, which was the global trading system. And they're like, "Oh
Right.
my God, that's a lot of money." I said, "Yeah, but if we spend this now, we will be able to overtake these telcos because we have presence in all these countries, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't. We can get there first if we
Right.
spend this money now." And they said, everyone looked at it and said, "Oh, well, you're not going to get that money. No one's going to want to spend it because the internet, anyway, is not secure. They're never going to make it." And now, guess what? All this stuff is
They
everywhere over there.
yeah, they blew it out. It's like, I mean, it's almost like, somebody building their own road
Yes,
between two towns. I mean, no one does that anymore because,
somebody else has done it. The
somebody else has
government's
done it.
done it.
Yeah.
Someone We're all relying on infrastructure that have been there for forever. We're not talking like
Right.
putting now concrete on trails that the deer and the Aboriginals used to go through. And said, no, it's not that anymore. It's like
Right.
these are actual. There was already a highway here. The highway
We're going to
system's there.
expand the lanes. That's all we're doing. We're
Yes, we're
talking about
expanding
expanding
lanes.
lanes.
We're putting
Well,
electricity. We're making it so that you don't slide when you're running in the snow. Things like that.
yeah. Well, and if you look, a lot of the telcos, a lot of the really big ones ended up branching off or being related to railroads because they already had right of ways and
Yes.
they already had lines and were able to, basically leverage
Exactly.
the paths that they already had. And those paths went from major city to major city, at least in the US, and that's where
Yes.
we're based. So
And
we're
so
very
actually, so if
biased
you
that
think
way.
about it, this is a similar situation over here. So as they say, before you go out and you purchase your F5 and you go crazy setting up your stuff, give the cloud the chance for the stuff. It's if it's a matter of security, that will be a future session. We're going to cover security in definitely in its own section because that's definitely its own thing, right?
Right.
So
And
we want
what's
to talk
killing
about that.
me,
Yeah.
yeah, what's killing me is I want to buy a new server. Did you see the Intel has the
Oh no,
i9
you got the link to
processor
it?
out?
You got the link to it? You should put it up.
I don't have the link to it at the moment.
Go ahead and type it up.
I'll
Let's do a search.
I'll put a link. Yeah. So Intel's i9. Let me bing it.
Yeah.
um, i9 Intel. So Intel is releasing this i9 processor, and what's interesting about it is that it's going to come in with a more than 16 cores.
Oh
There we go. Let's go directly here.
man. Whoa.
No, leave me alone. Uh, tech specs. So their Intel i9 Extremes can have up to 18 cores. That's that's 36 threads.
Whoa.
And this is their consumer level. Okay, this isn't their oops.
Oh, we got meetings.
Yeah, meetings coming up.
Yep.
Um, this is their consumer base. So this is not their server. Their Xeons, which have been into the tens of cores
Right.
for a while.
Yeah.
Um, but man, to be able to have 32 threads, 32 virtual
You have your own little
processors.
mini cloud. Get your little Azure platform, and then like have a little baby cloud. So see, here's the thing
Right.
though. Here's the
But there's
thing,
only
Mister.
one, and
Yeah.
it's going to be in Norfolk, Virginia, or New York, or
Oh
Chicago, or
man.
in one place.
Yeah.
And there's the problem,
Uh,
right?
yep.
We,
Yep.
you're not going to be global, and when it dies, it dies. Look there, number of cores 18,
All
number
right.
of threads 36. It's
So
crazy.
great. If we're thinking gaming, I would say okay. If we're thinking like trying to recreate our own network because just in case the internet it doesn't stay up because we lose connection. By the way, that still happens. There's still the case for that. In my case though, if internet goes down, I'm done because my point is like, okay, if I can't connect to you and my work is with you, and the internet goes down, I'm done. All right,
Right.
I'm not going to like have my super secret backup where everything comes up with the generator and all that stuff. There's no point bringing that stuff back up because if we're not connected, we're done. We're done. It's almost like the dollar, right? If everything crashes, the global economy goes wreck. What's the point? All right.
Right.
Do I why I kept a whole bunch of dollars stashed away in my little piggy bank. Useless. It's all
I've got
useless
gold.
stuff.
I've got gold.
I've got
No, I
gold.
don't, because come on, I squeak when I walk. I'm not going to put my money in something that's not going to give me value.
What's the gold gonna do for you? It's like people are like,
Yeah,
yeah, I got gold for what? You can't eat it.
exactly, exactly.
You can probably beat somebody in the head with it, but hey, get a
Yeah.
piece of stone.
So when you fly, sleep on the plane. Don't be, don't
Yes,
you don't need to be connected.
indeed, exactly. I mean, the idea is if you're connected, you're connected, right? And if you're not, you're not. You're done. All right.
Yep,
So don't worry about it. That's my thing. But however, if you're playing a game and then you're not connected for a second, I don't like to be interrupted. So
I know.
I'm still I'm still gonna say yes, yes. I must have this. I must have it.
Okay. We're gonna have to
Yes, we're
cut
done.
this
We're
off.
done over here. We're cutting it off because we have our meetings. Believe it or not, we're in the middle of the week, and we're probably on a little bit of our longer shows. We'll see if there's anything to cut, but I don't think so. I think we covered everything over here.
I'm happy.
I'm looking.
Yes.
I'm looking to the next one. We'll see. We're either going to go to deployment or we're going to go to security. We'll see, or something else different. We'll see. All right.
And if anyone has any ideas and want to make a request, please give us feedback.
We are still looking for feedback. So far, everyone's like,
Yes.
"Hey, we're okay with what you guys are doing." Okay.
Yeah, keep it up. Keep it up.
We'll keep it up, and we'll
All
keep
right.
it up when you let us know.
All
All right,
right.
all right. We'll talk to you soon, Uncle Lair.
All right. See you, Ralph.
All right, take care. Bye bye. Say bye bye.
Bye bye.